Hi, everybody. Okay, so today it's another conversation with Jennifer and myself, and it's a pretty lengthy video. It's about, I want to say, maybe an hour long, so you can kind of take it in bits and pieces, or you can just listen to the whole thing. Again, with these, when Jennifer and I get together, we basically are just talking to catch up, and whatever shows up, we talk about. I think there's some really interesting pieces in here for you to take away and to consider. And again, as I always say to everyone, take what resonates, toss the rest aside. The reason I do all these videos is for you to take more information and decide what resonates for you. Not everything's going to resonate, some things will. But again, we're here to learn and grow from information we receive, information we know, and then we put that into the puzzle of our own journey. So hopefully today you'll get some new insights or take some things away that will be helpful for your own journey. So before I launch you into our conversation, this coming weekend, I will be publishing the July energy update already. And so just a little hint of what I know is going to come. And all I know is this, is they're talking about coming up for air. Okay. So I'm just gonna, I could probably start doing this channel now, but I'm not going to. But they've given me coming up for air for July. So this is going to be, I think, an interesting conversation. We got a lot going on. June was huge, right? We're going to do a little probably review of June, and then we'll launch into what we see for July coming up, and how that's really going to help kind of lead us into the rest of the year. So anyway, needless to say, I'm going to launch you on over here to Jennifer and myself having conversation, and then I will wrap up briefly with you at the end. Yeah, I had a couple YouTube folks mention something. I posted a little message for the solstice, and I actually, it was interesting. I really felt good, which is a bit of an oddity for me these days, but I felt like really, how do I want to explain this? Like all parts of me were functioning energetically. It was kind of
Yeah.
funny, but and then I ended up with just this is very hard to explain. Like every now and then, like I'd sit there last night and I'd feel something like come in and feel like I was gonna, how do I want to explain this? Feel off or start having one of those energetic events. And it's like I bumped into some kind of energy or something. I don't even know how to explain it. And then I was fine. But it kind of feels a little bit like for me with this collective clearing thing that I've gotten myself, I'll just say, stabilized on, is that every now and then I'll notice it happening without it fully happening. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think has happened. Sorry, I'm still moving this tray out of the way. I apologize.
that's good.
But I think is happening. Okay, at least it's finally starting to kick in. But I've been doing it for a long time. I've been training a body. Okay, I'm going to scoot this up so I can see. I've been training my body to manage certain things that come in a way. And I thought, I shouldn't have to do this. Why am I doing it? And it dawned on me. I'm a pure creative energy, but usually in a very non-dualistic environment. So my body and energetic is set up for creation.
Yes.
Okay. So if I'm set up for creation, I'm kind of unlimited the way I think and I feel that I like to be. And now all of a sudden I crash into this energy where it needs clearing, transmuting, it needs all of this stuff, right? And my being is usually foot to the floor, creation, whatever she wants, give it.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And so it was like, so it kind of went big as even like if creation is big, then maybe if a boo-boo shows up, the boo-boo's going to be big, right? So
You know what they're showing me? Let me interject real quick, because I always get these visuals when you talk. This
yeah,
is so interesting. Have you ever heard of Mighty Mouse? The
yes,
you remember he'd like get his cape on and boom, and he'd blow through things?
zooming around. Now
Yeah,
this is
so
the story of this is
yeah,
the
they're
story of
showing you
Sophia.
doing
You know
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're showing you doing that, but then
Okay.
all of a sudden, like you're using that, all of a sudden you'll bump into like This is funny. Now they're showing him running into something and bouncing off and like having to go, oh God, what was that?
Ouch, yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's funny in a way because there's so much going on. I realized that sounds a lot like what happened to Sophia. Okay, she ran into another energy and had to deal with that. And I'm like, I don't think that that's what's going on. I think that all this convergence, all of these energies coming together to converge, to to reintegrate in some
Yep.
way. There's all of these lines are coming in, and Sophia's
Yep.
line might have been one of the lines coming back. And I got into the story of it and had the same experience, but as a different type of energetic now.
Yeah. And
Okay.
you said to me that that you and others, us, were at an intersection.
Yes.
And okay. God, I'm getting lots of visuals today. At an intersection, but it's a really busy, lots of lanes intersection, and the lights are kind of doing some funky things, and we're
Yes.
having to stop and look and go, oh, and then there's some accidents happening. Yeah, yeah.
That's right. And so I'm God, I had a something I wanted to say at the beginning, and I lost my train of thought because what did you say at the beginning of the? Oh, I think okay. I was training my energetic now from being something that is full creation, kind of this big. I mean, in like a train that's going full speed creation. Okay, and then having something in the way,
Yep.
and having to figure out like turning the Titanic. It's not going to slow down fast. There's a lot of momentum there, right?
Yes.
And so we have a crash, for instance, and I've had to train my energetic to do something that's very uncommon for it. And it's not necessarily in the nature. Okay, this is not actually supposed to be here, and I have to move it out of the way, get that body over here. And I'm like setting whenever something like this happens, just handle it like this, right?
Right.
And it's taken a while for that momentum now to build back into a being that's not in their nature to have little things like correct this and go to this and do that, but it's starting to respond really quick. So back to what you were saying about having something come up and then you feel it coming but then it doesn't actually do it, right?
Yes.
I think that our body is starting now to the energetic environment is starting now to um, do it for us in a way
Yeah.
because it's happened for a while now, with me at least, right? So
Okay. So yeah.
hopefully mine will keep everybody from having years of problems like this.
Yeah.
And
So
it
let
will
me
help them.
interject. Let me
Yep.
interject. What they're showing is that it's
Yes.
like a
There we go.
it's like in when you're just talking about the body adjusting to it because the energies are continue. What they're talking about is like continuing to confront it, like our bodies continue to bump against it, bump, and we keep drilling kind of in. They're kind of showing it like that, like we
Yeah.
keep chipping away at it in the metaphor they're giving, and being able to then kind of get through and be able to accommodate those energies. But it's a process. The other thing that is difficult, I think, for people because it's happening to everybody, but is to be able to understand what works for them to be able to um, participate in that clearing. Because I do believe I do believe our practices and the things that we finally realize work for us after a lot of trial and error are really impactful to how
Yes.
what we're going to experience moving forward. And it's really hard to understand what works for me because you got to be present, you got to be conscious, you can't just shove it off, you got to participate. Does that resonate with you and kind
It
of
yes, it does. I mean, I think that the a focus maybe where in the past we kind of as creator beings we create, we think of it and we forget it and then we let it manifest. It's a little bit different now. It takes a little bit more of a focus almost because it's a different scale of time. So it's almost like it needs more of your attention more than you need to give attention to creation. That what we're looking at, what we're observing, needs more of our attention. So it takes focus for the thing that we're doing more than it does for how we would typically create. Does that make sense?
I think so. I'm not totally sure because when you're okay, so let me just share and then you can
Sure.
adjust what I'm saying. So what I've always understood for myself and for manifestation in general is, and I'm talking outside of what you're talking about, but just in general, is you don't want to put heavy energy into the thing and force it and try to make it happen. And you want to desire it and feel like that's what you'd like someday, and then let it go. And then when the things come your way, if you're working towards something, for example, you do the thing that's in front of you, but you don't put this heavy energy into it. And I've seen this happen over and over again with me. Sometimes it takes years. Like a really super simple example is back probably 15 years ago, I would travel a lot for work and I'd always get RAV4 rental cars. And I was like, and I had tried all kinds of rental cars and I was like, God, I really want a RAV4 someday. That would be so wonderful if I could get one. And then I would be thinking like, oh God, but those are, more expensive than what I'd really want to spend. Anyway, needless to say, then I'd drive my rental car and go back to work, nothing, thinking anything of that. But I would have that thought every time I'd rent a car and just like, oh, that'd be really cool. Well, what do I end up with 15 years later? I mean, it took me a while, not like I was trying to plan for it. It just
Right.
happened one day. So how
Yes.
does that play into what you're talking about? Like that
Yeah.
process?
Well, it's true. It's just that I'm saying like the times that we're in or the energy that
Yeah.
we're kind of in, it takes a little bit of thinking outside the box because what's happened and is happening is a little bit unprecedented. It's not necessarily your run of the mill, just kind of typical what us as creators, what we would normally like when we're going to create something. It's not really typical right now. It's kind of a unprecedented and not seen before um, a sequence of events. So when I am at least doing, I would do like what you said, mostly with a creation. If it would almost just be an impulse and it would be gone, and I sometimes wouldn't even cognize it, and that would be and it would be created, and it would be just like that. That's. But with the energy, the situation here, I'm noticing that I'm having to keep my focus in the same. If I want something to a process to complete, I'm having to focus on it until it's complete. And I said, I don't normally do that, but I realized that what we're dealing with, the issues that are going on now, some of the issues may need the focus. So I'm having to do it differently. If I want a process to complete, a full transmutation, a full conversion, a full transformation to complete itself, I'm having to stay focused on it.
Okay, hold
So
on. Okay, because I think this is important. I don't want people to get confused because when you say that, are you talking about something I don't like materially want to show up in your life journey, or materially meaning visible, tactile, that kind of
sure,
thing? Or is this
sure.
are you talking energetically with your body kind of idea?
Well,
Because I
well,
think I
both.
don't want people to get mixed up with like, now they've got to give really heavy energy, like focused effort, and they don't think about
You
anything
know,
else. You know what
you're
I'm saying?
right. Okay, so I guess I'm kind of thinking more about the overall plan for like where is this going? With the whole ascension and the whole thing. How is the whole thing moving right now?
Mhm.
Now, when I do things like the trips I want to take, the things I want to see, what I would like for to have as maybe an experience that is more on the lighter side, then I do it the way, with just I'd like to do that and I let it go. But when we're doing kind of the work for the energetic, it
Yes,
is more of a focus,
yes,
although the
that
energetic
makes sense.
will manifest into the body and into the reality, because this, as you're manifesting energetically, your auric field changes, your everything, your body changes, and as your body changes, you start projecting the changes, and then you see your reality changing too.
Okay,
So it happens both ways. But the heavier stuff, I'm focusing on. The lighter stuff, I'm just do the same as
okay.
I.
So let me give you my example to see if this makes sense to you, because
Sure.
what you're saying, I think I understand. So I think an example of what you're talking about for me is this idea of when I was having all these traumatic energetic events over the last year, being able to
Yes.
go, wait a minute, hold on. And then finding the right, through a lot of it, through a long journey, finding the right method that works for me to be able to clear those energies and know that if I do this every day, or if I do these pieces in my journey, I'm going to be able to shift that and manifest that idea of clearing for the collective rather than it running through me. So that took a focused effort from me. It's
Yes.
not like I can't just say, oh, I want that to happen and then just let it go, because that's
Mhm.
not going to happen. I mean,
Well, if you stay focused, I've noticed that, at least for me, you stay focused, you set something in place and you practice it,
yeah,
your instrument kind of picks up on what you're doing and then it does it for you.
yes, this is what
So you
started to
don't
happen
have
with
to
me.
keep doing it. It starts to pick up and you're like, oh crap, here it comes. Normally I would go sit down, go into meditation and fix blah, blah, blah. But now you're noticing, oh crap, here it comes. Oh no, it's gone. And you can say,
Yes,
okay, thank you, body. You just handled that for me. I don't have to go and
yes,
do all my, you know. So
yep,
that's starting to occur more and more for me too. I've noticed the body is picking up on it. The energetic in the body's picking up on it enough to, it's been saturated, the field, it's been saturated enough with our intentions and our
yes,
practice
yes.
that it's starting to pick up for us now and do it, right?
Yes, and
Without
my
with,
example of that is
mm-hmm,
this meditation I do that I posted for people to try themselves. The meditation that I do every night, I love it. It feels really good.
mm-hmm,
That has come to the point where instead of listening to 43 minutes of it, I can now just create my own and do it in 20 minutes if I want.
yeah,
And I'm not at that stage where I can just say, in 3 seconds, like run that energy through me. I just
yeah,
don't feel, I don't want to say I don't feel comfortable. I feel, I don't, I guess it's part of my meditation process too, which I like, but that's what's been happening for me in being
yeah,
able to, like you just said, it just, your body starts to go, oh yeah, I know what we're doing here. And it
yeah.
just constantly does this for you.
Mhm. Yes, it's starting. It feels like it's starting to do it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know,
That's interesting. I wonder what that, okay, so this kind of just popped in. I wonder then what that means then for the collective of us as we, so like, I this is kind of like predicting the future, but like what that means then moving forward, is that a being able to, well, it also is, we're shifting and changing frequencies. So that's allowing us to move dimensionally and into that higher consciousness state, that higher frequency, higher energy. But does that then, I wonder, allow us, I guess we'll find out, allow us to more easily move through the new incoming energies? Or I wonder if it's like all
yeah.
these staged thing where you got to readjust. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's what I'm finding is I will um I think I'm delivering it to a point. So this is how I see it. So from start to finish, no matter where it's occurring or what order it will be in, they um the creation for the management of the energy is made as one single like download. So it's the whole spectrum and how it all fits together, and then how all of that fits together and how it will come together in the best way, and then how it will be delivered. So what's happening is kind of what you would do, like, when you're drinking, sometimes you'll have a little drink before, like when you're doing shots or something, you'll do like or Boilermaker or something, you have a little drink before and then you take a drink, or you have a little drink after. So like you have a runner and a main drink and a chaser, right?
Yeah, I remember those days.
So like lime and salt and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
um, so
God,
we've
I'd be
got
on the
we've
floor if
got
I
the
did that
I
now.
know,
I'd
we've
be on
got
the floor.
we've got the salt, the margarita, and the lime going on at the same time. So when you get the energy the energies that are coming up, I'm working the whole thing so that you're getting the past, this present, and the future all at one time. So hopefully you won't have to hit each step like a brick wall, you know.
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the wrap up, the present, and the chaser energy that's going to make it all easier easier to go through. Is all happening at one time. So hopefully it will ease off in all directions.
Do you get a hangover?
I think that would be the equivalent most nights when I go to sleep with an ice pack on my head. It's not
That's
from drinking.
hilarious.
It's from doing
That's a
this.
good one though. That's a really good metaphor. That's funny.
So but it's all happening at one time. So it's kind of hopefully making it this thing kind of get more efficient and move it along and let's get through this so we can enjoy what's coming.
Okay, I gotta stop you because I want to throw something out because it just came to me. So let's just use an example of
Sure.
somebody who, and this is neither right nor wrong, doesn't really understand that they have to participate. They know they're going through the awakening journey or whatever the ascension. They're somewhat consciously aware of all this energy and all that. Um, but there is not, and I think a lot of people do get distracted with their 3D journey, I
Yeah.
mean, because it's hard to get everything done in the course of the day. What
Yeah.
in how does that, what does that look like for them if they are, again, neither right nor wrong, kind of ignoring creating their processes or like focusing on this? Is there, I'm going to keep going here a second because they're kind of showing me something. So like, is it a constant then struggle for them until one day it just all pops and they've made their journey more difficult by not participating? Do the energies then eventually just get so like pound, 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 pound that woof,
Yeah.
without any participation? I just kind of, and I know there's probably no one answer, but this is coming in and they're wanting to talk about this a little bit, like the idea of they just said non-participation and what that looks like versus someone like you and me, which that's kind of our thing. Like we know
Yeah.
and we do it and then we find the way forward, but not everybody is there.
I think about your kind of primary message that you started with your business and taking clients and everything that you play is the concept of being in flow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think probably what's coming to you, I got a couple of hits. You can look at it two ways. That non-participation can also look like non-resistance. So like
Oh.
if you can be in flow and go through it, it will be easier for you and it'll also be easier for the creators that are working on it hard like you and I. Okay. So it's not that you have to stay totally engaged, but you
No.
do have to be in some form of a non-resistance present state, okay, in your day-to-day work, not hanging on to things, or in your day-to-day life, not hanging on to things, not being stuck in all of the constructs that are here. I think that's one way of
That's a
non-participation,
really good
right?
point. Yeah. So it's interesting you speak to, we're speaking to people that might be somewhat aware. What then I then wonder is the idea of just being in flow and allowing those
Yeah,
who are not aware at all. I don't have a clue, but
yeah,
we're all being affected in some
yeah,
way. Now, what I wonder too then is, and I'm just kind of making this up, is like those that aren't even aware of this process, they're just going through their 3D life. Are they
yeah.
just so hardened armor wise that like it's just bouncing on, they're not being affected?
It might
I'm
be.
serious.
And
And again, this is a kind of
no, it's
a rhetorical or hypothetical question, but it's
right.
like classes of, or not classes, like groups of people, like
Yes.
what happens when you're totally unaware and what's going on in their
Well,
journey kind of thing. You know
that's
what I mean?
another thing. Okay, like you say, non-participation. Let's look
Yeah.
at it this way. In non-resistant state and allowance, yes, or the ones that are more advanced at this and are aware of it might be working the energy for the ones who are totally unaware and are not doing
I think
it.
that's, I think
So
that's true, but I wonder, okay.
so you as the one working it also need to realize that you don't necessarily need to be the one in the total acceptance of all of the energetics coming in and all of the downloads because you're already more advanced than that. You're
okay.
the one working the energy for the ones who aren't.
So
Who
that's
aren't
kind of like
you
the
understand?
idea. That's like the idea of being what I'll just call magnetic. Like we're the ones chopping down.
Yeah.
They give the metaphor of going through the jungle,
Sure.
chopping down the initial pathway, so that
Yeah.
people that are fully unaware, they're able to get through this too and come
Yeah.
along. Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense because that aligns with
Mhm.
what's been brought in the past. How they use tons of metaphors like we're magnetic, we're chopping down the forest, we're clearing the pathway, we're the frontliners, all that stuff.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think that and then there's not another way to look at it. You were saying in non-resistance, you can be a non, like for you and I, we're in, say, a third wave, and we're like, okay, we know all this stuff almost, or we even recognize the energy of it. We even recognize we've done this before, maybe on other planets, that we've already done this. So we're not necessarily here to have the upgrade because we're the ones working the energy for them to have the upgrade. So there might be some just, you need to see it be in peaceful integrity, right?
Yes.
And other now for the other ones who are not necessarily resisting, little things are going to start slipping away. Some of us have had this experience already with COVID and things like that, where time seemed to just kind of disappear and lose its structure. So it's
Yeah.
like, what day is it? It's been 3 weeks. No way. That kind of thing was happening on a pretty big scale. And things like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Things that we're working on now is for this group, is the non dependence on time.
Mhm.
So I'll give you a tiny little history if you wanted. Do you want to know
Oh,
how
sure.
kind of like the week was created and the kind of the
Oh yeah, no,
cosmic
I think people would enjoy
agreements
that.
that
If we
kind
if
of
we use this
happened?
as a if we use this as a video, I think people would enjoy that.
Okay.
I mean, because what I always tell everybody is, we're just going to share everything we have, whether it's me or you and me.
Right.
Take what resonates, toss the rest aside. So yeah.
Okay. Well, this has to do with the days of the week, the 5 days of the week. Okay. So, and I'll keep it simple. There's a lot more to it, but
Mhm.
at a point in creation, there was a void that was created that would accommodate creation
Mhm.
outside of the laws of the natural laws of creation. Okay. So it allow creation outside of law. And it was a space that was created for something specific that somebody wanted to do. They created this space. Now,
Is that like the void?
that is the void. That's
That's
what's
what I
called the
thought.
void.
Okay.
Now, the void, and then there was a 5-day compensation for the year. So instead of 360 days, we have 365 days.
And the
In
reason for
order
that?
to, because as some effect of creating the void, we ended up with 5 more days a year.
Okay.
Okay. Now you think of the 360 as a perfect circle. Now, this is somewhat related to Saturn, or how we name one of the days of the week, which is Saturday, comes from Saturn. Now, the rings that are around Saturn are slightly larger than the planet. So if you take 360 degrees and you add 5 degrees to it and make the circle bigger, you get rings around a planet,
Sure.
right?
Okay.
Now, if you take 360 and you add 5 to it and it says, I don't want to make the circle bigger, you're going to have 5 days overlapping like this, right? Now, that going around and around, that's going to be like a racetrack. You're never going to come back here. You're going to make a spiral down like this. So that is the creation of spiral time. Spiral descending time was because of the weekdays created in the void. Okay.
Okay.
So not only was the compensation 5 days, it was also a creation in the void. So the 5 days a week were created in a space that works outside of the laws of creation. So time on a schedule of 5 days, you see, so that's being pulled. That's being pulled out. Like we're not
Oh, and
doing
that you're saying you're
because
aligning that 5 days being pulled out as to why we're confusing time.
as why we're pulling out the structure of time, because in
Yes.
our natural state of creation as a free creator being,
Yeah.
time in that much structure is almost a cage that we're in. We let that go, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the ones that are asleep, you said some of these people are totally asleep, they're going to start to notice things like, I don't feel the structure of time anymore, and it feels
Yes, it's already
a
happening.
little wobbly to me, right?
Yes.
So things like that will start occurring to them, even if they have no clue
The average
about
person,
any
that's
of the
I'm already
energetic
seeing that.
ending. Okay.
Yep.
So they'll start to notice things just like, I don't feel as stable, and it might be off-putting. They might be uncomfortable. They might get agitated, like, I don't
Yep.
like this,
Yep.
because there's a group that hangs on to this structure for stability. They're codependent. They want to keep it.
Well, it's
Okay.
like any other construct. Okay. It's like any
Yeah.
other construct. Time's a construct. The money's
Yeah.
a construct. It's holding
Right.
on to that thing
That's
to,
right.
to like define ourselves or to keep safe,
Yes.
to stay away from fear, all of that. So it's another construct.
That's right. That's
So wait, let
exactly
me ask you a question. So that
right.
five, so if we get just really on the ground here, that shift of awareness in time is the recalibration of time to the 360 and taking out the five in essence. Is that right?
Yeah.
Reinterpret?
Yes, it's one of the small little, okay, we're not going to do, we're not doing that. And it was funny because I already know about that. That happened, I kind of, like I said, I'm moving past, present, future. But the recent one that we went through, it was like unanimously, the ones that are kind of working on this, everybody's like, oh my God, once they saw the difference that that little 5 days made and that void space made in the effect it had on all of creation, they're they're saying, wow, yes, absolutely. Everybody agrees that that needs to go.
And you know
And
what? That's where we get true freedom. Okay, so let's think about this a
yeah,
second. So time, like you said, is a cage, is a prison, is a jail, is yet it's a construct we work within in a human. But what they're really talking about is as you let go of all these constructs, and they, for humans, one of the biggies is the money, and that's one they focus on a lot with in my conversations with people is, we're coming through this construct, we're all going to have our journey with money, and it's an ascension tool. But the other part of this too, then, and what they're saying is time is actually one of those too. And true freedom is when we let go of all constructs and we just flow, we just allow, and we don't put our, I keep putting our faith in a thing that isn't really true, is what they're saying.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, right.
Yeah. And
That's
time
right.
is one of those things where we wouldn't necessarily expect that, right? So true
Yeah,
freedom is outside the bounds of time and all these
yeah.
constructs we've created in
Well,
mind.
yes, that, and you think about this now, it's funny too, because there's so many players, and you think about the good, the bad, some of the roles that we've had in our mind as human on the human plane, what we think that, that's the bad guy and that's the good guy, and we have names for them and all this stuff. And you look at, even with the construct of the void, for example, the void was created for something that had nothing to do with being devious, right? Had nothing to do with malevolence. It was created for a reason. However, because it was created as a space that could be created in outside law, it started to attract outlaws, right?
Yeah. That
Okay.
makes sense.
So, but you remember, as a creator being, you are always entangled and tied to your creations, right? You are always responsible for them until you complete them and they are done.
Yeah.
So the creator being that created the void for a specific reason that had nothing to do with anything malevolent or scheming or bad is actually responsible for all these hoodlums that attracted themselves to the void to create. Okay. Because it is kind of a hotbed for being able to create what you want outside of law and being able to do some pretty shady stuff, right?
But here's what I just heard, and I want you to take this and see where it goes with it. I just heard the void offers opportunity. They keep saying this to me: opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Void offers opportunity. That's so interesting. And I guess we could argue, or not argue,
well,
discuss, what does that mean?
Where I argue, I look at it from the standpoint of, probably because my soul is so old. I'm just I'm ancient, right? So I look at it like creation offers opportunity as well, and creation done well with a creator being that is very good at it, that offers opportunity that we actually want, right? It doesn't offer opportunity that at some point is going to end in a massive catastrophe where everybody in the universe has to come and try to fix it because it's gotten some, and I think some of the things that were created in the void are some of these, oh crap, events where a bunch of beings from all over the place show up.
That's that opportunity. That's the
Well,
opportunity to create, but then they create a thing
no,
that, to your point.
no, I'm not saying it that way. I'm
Oh,
saying that the
okay.
beings that are creator beings that create within law, the
Oh,
natural laws of creation, then have to travel here, show up, and fix the thing
got it. Okay.
happened as a result of the creation that came out of the void. That's the kind of my experience that I'm seeing, and I'm having to be, I'm doing that kind of particular kind of work. So yes, it does offer opportunity, but it also throws things out, anomalies,
Oh yeah,
things that,
totally. Oh
and
yeah.
then it makes others responsible for creations that they aren't actually involved in
Yeah, and they're
because
not
of that.
saying opportunity. They're not saying what kind of opportunity. Opportunity is anything, good,
True.
bad, neutral. Yeah,
And
exactly.
there might be some genius concepts that come out of the void, that come out of, creating. However, there are a lot of the issues that we're having are from the void,
So let me
because
ask you this. How can the average person, because I try to always bring it back down to the ground,
Mhm.
how can the average person understand, I don't want to say understand, or well, yeah, maybe understand the void in their day to day and or utilize it. I'm just throwing this out. Utilize it for purpose. That just showed up. I don't know. I don't have an answer. We can talk about this, but I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
when we
I
talk
mean,
about the void, people might just go, I don't know what you're talking about. There's some people that be the void. So what is it? How is that relevant to me? You know what I mean? How's that relevant?
um, well, it's only relevant in the sense that some of the things that are being felt right now, the void is tied to the 5 days.
Yep.
It's tied to the descending spiral timeline.
Mhm.
It's tied to the rings of Saturn, which they say are holding Saturn as a captive. Okay. So it's that kind of energy. So when an average day person just says, okay, how is that applying to me?
Yeah.
If you and your energetics start to feel things like time slippage, the days of the week really don't matter anymore. The constructs around the days of the week, like going to work 5 days a week from 9 to 5, has kind of changed to, no, I work from home at my own leisure.
Right.
Yeah. Or 5 days a week going to school from certain time to certain time. It's changed to kind of like, no, my child homeschools now, so he
Yeah.
can spend
Yeah.
more
We're
time
seeing that change. We're seeing that
hobby
drastic change. I agree with you.
activity and other explorations, and not, you're starting to see all of those structures, that all of those
Sure.
things that rely on that structure, they'll start to change.
Yep.
And you'll start to feel it in your body, like maybe the floor feels a little wobbly because time is a little different. However, it's giving you an invitation to be more of a creative,
Yes.
see how you can do things in a different way,
So it's
right?
more the void will affect people. It's less of how do I use the void for my.
You're actually not using the void so much, because that particular void, the compensation was 5 days, because of the void is there. And so we're going to give you 5 more days. If the 5 days are gone, the void's gone.
Oh, got it. Okay. Oh,
Okay. So I look at the void. Okay. You can look at the void as opportunity. I
yes.
look at the void. I'm looking at it as a limitation, because everything that I've seen so far in the void, I see it as a limitation in some way, because I see the true creation in natural laws of creation are very, very generous. There's opportunity beyond what you can possibly think of within law. So I look at it like the void is something that is, it is not necessary. I look at it as a limitation. So the
Yeah.
void and the 5 day structure will be gone at the same time, because they're tied together.
Okay. So then my next question is, so the void goes, but we still have what we could argue in our understanding that the laws are also constraining. And yet
It
provide
is.
freedom. I mean, that's more of a
Yes, if they're
creepy
made up,
understanding,
if
but
they're made up by a dimensional being that has applied themselves into some kind of a dissension and into a construct, and then they came up with the laws from that standpoint,
yeah.
you could find it that they are limiting. I'm talking about the natural laws, that they don't come from a constructed mind.
Okay.
They're coming from the infinite intelligence
Okay.
of
that
those,
allows flow, that allows
yeah,
creative
yeah,
thought, that allow,
right.
okay, all right. Because I'm seeing this now, and
Mhm,
they're helping me understand this in a way that kind of similar to what you're talking about. Um,
mhm,
but oh God, I just lost my train of thought. Creative. Oh, okay. What they're giving me is this sense of this idea of law as how we see it, which is it does exclude things, right? It doesn't. It's a frame. It's a
mhm.
uh, cage as such of what you can do and you can't do. It's cans and cans, right?
Yeah,
But within the the divine way of looking at it, it allows creative flow from more of a higher perspective. Is that, oh, I'm not even making
it's
sense.
so natural. It's like
Yes,
it's the most natural way. And the only reason they say law is because we observed what
yeah,
happens naturally. And we said, oh, we notice a pattern. Well,
yes.
that's a law because it always happens that
And
way.
natural,
Well,
like natural law.
natural, the creator didn't come up with laws.
No.
It's people watch or beings looking at it and noticing that happens
Yes,
every time. And when they call it a law,
yes.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
No.
saying it's just the natural flow of the infinite intelligence of the infinite all that is.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And it's not really a laws like the Ten Commandments or anything. It's just what would happen in nature, what
Mhm,
happens naturally at that level
mhm.
of creation. And that's the only thing that's the only thing that I'm, in that state. There isn't really a limit. um, there really isn't a limit to your creative
No.
potential,
Right.
right? Unlimited is limitless potential.
So let's just bring this back down to the average person or you and me or anybody. How
Yes.
how does this help us by understanding this? What is this? Is this just in, and again, I'm tossing this back at you, but is this just nice information to have, or what do we do to engage or take more um, advantage of this, or to be able to work with this more? You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people might watch this and go, okay, well, that's nice. And so that
Mhm,
just happens. And so
mhm.
what do I take away from that for myself? You know what I'm saying? To be able to participate more in that sense. And
You
again,
know,
this is more rhetorical. It's kind of like,
I think I like the idea of having um, kind of an echelon,
mhm,
uh, a group that has understanding, even if the rest don't seem to be, and I like to see the relaxation about not being so serious about being a good human,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Not being so serious about doing everything perfect as to what's expected from the human. It's starting in the recognition of how how much more there is, even if you don't know specifically or can't remember perfectly, that your being is big and you're doing stuff in all kinds of different environments, places, planets, dimensions. You do, there's so much more to who you are and what you like, and what you do and your gifts, your abilities, your growth, your, what I love to, what I would like to just, instead of almost like making a list and focusing on and how all the stuff I really need to do when I'm
Yeah.
here, it's more of like just try to kick back and remember all the stuff. Try to get into the energy
Yes,
of
so that's what I'm getting
how
is
it
the words
feels.
yeah, not constrained. You're not constrained.
Yeah.
Is what I
Try to
keep getting.
remember, the energy of how you feel maybe
Yep.
doing something different somewhere else, even if you can't put words to it and you couldn't tell, articulate what just try to feel for all the stuff that you do and let your energy expand to that. Um, and give yourself a chance to do relax and chill out about all the expectations that you might feel that you have here on this planet. Feel the expectations they have of you, like to be a good wife or husband or parent. And, not saying you have to be a bad one, but don't let that be your priority, because
And don't
honestly,
let it put you in a box either.
yeah, and honestly, the more you allow,
Yeah.
it's like you don't have to think about any of this stuff. It comes from the heart. You don't have to use your mind for any of it.
This is what I'm getting, is that, for kind of what you're saying, what I'm getting a sense of is that in this old way of working linearly, and we do the thing, we do the thing, we do the thing, we focus and we accomplish a goal as such. What I'm getting more of is how this is going to impact others is, like you said, with COVID and the kinds of things that have caused us to just kind of flow and just kind of readjust. And that's actually using our intuition each day to just flow and feel and know what we need to do day to day, right? Versus this hardened kind of time oriented, again, in that cage of time, I got to do this, 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 and I got to do it this way and this way, very constructed. Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
That
totally.
the average person is going to start just kind of feeling the flow of this. And we've been set up in many ways for that opportunity through things like COVID, working from home, right?
Yeah.
Or, you named some other things. I forget what it was, but that allow that more
Homeschool.
looser, like let the brains go. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
not holding that
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah. And
That
I think
time
that
construct.
are there the when stuff just kind of happens, it's almost when you
Yeah.
stop trying,
Yes,
right?
totally.
When you stop trying. And the reason that happens, I think, is because your soul, energetic, doesn't need your mind to think.
No,
You don't need your brain to figure it out.
right,
It's just you already are everything that is you need to figure everything out and to have whatever you want. You already are that in your energy. It's almost like, okay, just let my energy be, because everything just puts itself together magically for me when my energetic
yes.
is free to flow.
So it
And
really
I
did on.
become, yeah, even if you're worried about being a good human here and doing a good job as a mom or dad or anything else, when you let your energetic flow into you,
Yeah,
your soul knows how to do everything. You
right,
might not be exactly what you pictured yourself to be, but you are going to be a better mom, a better dad, a better spouse, whatever, just by allowing your soul to be present and being kind of not in control, but just be there, because it's almost like walking into a magic mist. You can think of it this way. You notice when I walk in the fog, it's magical. Everything happens perfectly. I know everything. I feel awesome. Everything manifests that I want. The world's beautiful. And you would walk into, you would always want to be in this magical mist, wouldn't you? You'd find it. You'd look for it. Well,
yeah.
you are that. You are a conduit for the magical mist, and you can bring it in, let it be around you, and just allow the magical mist to be around you,
Yeah.
right?
So here's an on the ground example. Okay.
I'm
Well,
usually not there.
no, no, no. I always like, I'm just thinking of examples that I think we can relate to, all of us. I think I certainly can. Have you ever had where the universe comes and pounds you one thing after another, one thing after another, and you're just like, oh my God, one more thing, and then you fight the thing and you do the thing and you do, one more thing, and you're like another thing. And then finally you get to this point where you're beaten down so far, you just go, okay, okay, it's just one more thing. It's just, and then when you do that and you have basically just stopped forcing that energy of fight and all of that, and you just let it go. I mean, I have a perfect example of this for myself. All of a sudden, the things get put together for you, if that makes
Yes.
sense. Like it may be one disaster after another, whatever your definition of disaster is, one thing after another. But then all of a sudden you let go because you're so beaten down because the human has been the one that's been fighting against it, rather than allowing the flow of the thing to come and go, oh, okay. Then you start to see the bigger story of all the things that have happened, right? And so anyway, that's kind of the idea to me of being able to not fight against that and let
Yes.
it flow. And we do
Yes.
get, if we fight too hard all the time, or get upset about the things that are happening rather than flow with what's occurring, we will get beaten down at some point as we get pummeled to the point
Yes.
where we just go, I can't do this anymore. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people get in that place.
Yes. What do you think it is? Okay. Because I was just thinking, if you only knew like a couple of words, and you could just say, I want my soul to infuse my body and my life. Soul infuse me, right? Infuse
Yeah.
me, infuse me. And I thought, what is it that keeps us pinched off from our soul energy? I'm thinking, what is it exactly? How do we do that? How do we even manage to get like out of the soul infusion? I thought, okay, do you think it might be related to like the layered body, the different layered bodies and what frequencies we generate through different layers, emotion, physical,
Okay. You're
mental?
saying the
Do you
same
think?
thing as I'm thinking. Okay.
Okay,
But I'm going to say it differently.
sure,
So you think of energy, when we're a baby and a child, we come in so pure and beautiful and all that, all that natural stuff is there. We see spirits, whatever, those kinds of things.
right.
And then we get the layers, like you just said, of energy from belief systems, constructs,
Yeah.
family, all that, right? So
That
we
would be
start,
like the mental body, maybe.
yeah,
Is that mental body?
well,
Okay.
and could be energetic too. I mean, it turns into energy, I
Well,
guess.
yeah, I don't know if that's, I know that Bentonhow talks about this a lot, but the different layers of your body, your mental body,
Yeah, yeah.
your emotional body, it's like there's almost like a layered effect within the body to build the body.
Yeah. But I believe our we come in and then there are all these things we've created as energetic constructs, the way things must be, very narrow,
Yeah,
very
yes,
narrow. Now, granted,
yeah,
we're expanding out
construct.
what those are. To me, what happens is we become layered, and you can define it any way you want, with those beliefs. And that creates that energy of who we are. And then we lose sight of the voice of who we truly are because we're hearing all the voices outside of us.
Yes.
I mean, we're so
Yeah.
vulnerable when we're little too, if you think
Well,
about
I
that.
know, and I wonder what's really not there. I'm like, okay, what kind of bodies do we have here? Let's like flip through the catalog and pick the ones we want. Throw the mental body out, right? I want the sensual body. Let's put that one in. That's a good one, right? And let's throw the pain body, throw that
Yeah,
out. And I want the bliss body, right? So,
yeah.
okay, what do we do here? How do we build this body with the layers to encourage and support being soul infused?
Okay. I think the first thing we have to do, given where we're at is the healing work, the awareness of stripping off the layers, right?
Ah,
The doing all that because we're in this place now where we have all this stuff that we're looking at and refining and redoing and tossing aside and clearing out. I think it's less from building from a pure perspective because we're not. We have all this stuff we're getting rid of from past lives, from this life. And then I think what we do is we strip that down and then we're raw again, right? And then we
right.
rebuild.
Yes, I think that's right. And I don't know if it's, you know, I'm thinking of, let's take some of these like the mental body. Is there something about the physical construct, the way that the DNA is put together, the genome, whatever, in this
Right.
particular body that makes the mental body something I don't like? I mean, I have stress, or I'm anxious, and I don't think I'm managing my or the emotional body. I'm managing my emotions very well. So it's something to do with the mental body and the emotional body not meeting each other, or the emotional body is maybe doing something I don't like. And I think, okay, how can I tweak my own emotional body?
But isn't that kind of the
And
journey in total, though? Coming back
it is,
to soul
and that's
self?
where
To,
I think that's soul self definitely, but I think that's where our creator being
Mhm.
really can thrive here,
Yeah.
is because then you look at it now, if you take all of my layers and you put them almost like transparencies, one on top of the other, and make this beautiful picture that I'm going to now put in front of a light and shine it through the front of my body, and that's going to create my reality,
Yeah.
right? Like my rose colored glasses, for instance. They say she wears rose colored glasses, sees everything as rose colored, everything looks better,
Yeah.
optimistic than it really would look, in reality. It's because they put those on, right? So I'm thinking, what do we do to our layered body to make them like rose colored glasses? So when I look, everything looks good because my observation of what I've created as my reality
Right.
goes into the collective consciousness. So I can affect by hacking or changing mine into what I want by using my creator ability to change my layered body the way that I want it to be. I can change the reality for me and everyone else around me, right?
Yeah. And you know what they just brought in for me as you're talking? Um, they said you're actually going backward in time in the sense going from adult to a baby again versus compared, excuse me, based on what I had just mentioned earlier. So what they showed me was that movie. I don't even remember that movie where that man, he went backwards in time. He was an old man. He
Benjamin,
went back to it.
Benjamin Button.
Yes. So what they're saying is that's kind of a analogy or metaphor for what we're really doing is we're going back to our natural state, which is pure when we're born.
Yeah.
And then we create all these, these energy layers, call them what you want, right? And now what we're doing is we're where we are now, and we're deconstructing back
Yeah.
to origin status.
Deconstructing the construct. Yes, that's exactly right. And some of us have done this before. Like I said, I'm like, we've done this already. Why are we doing it again? I get that feeling a lot.
Yeah, I get more of the I don't have any memory of it. Obviously, most of us don't, but I have a feeling of just being tired of just like of the slog, kind of is what I get.
Yes,
I get more of like, oh God, I feel like I've
drudgery,
done 10,000 times and I'm having to do it over again.
Exactly.
But we've not done it this way. I have understood that, yes, individually, maybe we have, but we have, and maybe we've been done on other planets, but we've never done this way as a collective, individually across the world as humankind. That's the difference. And this is what, okay, I'm just going to a different place, and we can take this another time, probably there, but is what I'm, because this also has to do with like the ancient past of where, and they connect this to the pyramid structure or the grid, all of this. You know how the pyramids and
oh my God,
the world were connected. Now hold on.
Yes.
We're connected to create the grid. What they're saying now is because, of course, the pyramids are not operable in the way they were, or the obelisks or anything. Guess who's doing that now? It's us.
I'm so glad you did this. Oh my God.
We're reestablishing that grid. I have massive chills.
Yes.
Through the pinpoints of us, because guess what? We can't go turn those pyramids on like they used to be able to do in the past, right? When they were all connected across. But now it's us.
It's our technology, yes.
We're the ones. We're the obelisks.
You got it. Because let me tell you something. I remember we've even discussed this. We've even said this to each other before, and it just hit me. Yes, this is so right. We are sitting here saying, we've already done this. This feels like repeating. What happened? Remember when we were talking about this? We did it. But I think there was a really, really ancient, amazing energy that's so old that it's old enough to be the only one that was aware with itself. So you wouldn't have to say, oh, where's Jennifer?
Yeah.
Because nobody was with Jennifer then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it.
So nobody knew when we were ascending the planet that Jennifer was missing, right? It's an energy like that where we ascended it, and somehow it's just like, something's wrong. Why are we doing it? And it's taking us back, and we're doing it again. What the hell happened? We don't know. Guess we have to do it again. Doing it again. Why the hell do we have to do this again? We've ascended this damn thing. We're saying this like, why does this keep repeating? And it's that ancient energy that nobody knows is missing because nobody knew them like that because they were by themselves. And it's one.
Yep. And now we're here.
And we have done something to ascend or force ascension in the way that we think it needs to be done, but we left out one. So I think that's what's happening right now. I think that we had to go back to get the good stuff because that's where everything is with that energy that we don't really even know we missed in the process of doing this before. You see, that brought us right back to start. Right? What the hell? We're here again? Why?
Yeah,
that's why,
exactly.
Because we forgot to bring one.
Yes, and I hate to do
that. Energy is one that has not ever been necessarily involved in any manifestation because it stayed in its perfect unborn state of pure potential innocence, unborn energy. It is the most precious thing that we can think of as existence as a being.
Okay, so I want to tie something in for you on that. And then I just realized we've been talking an hour because I'm going to have to go. This always happens, right? But that, what you just said, ties back to what I just said, which is us, the Benjamin Button thing, going back to
Yes, I
purity.
think
That's it.
exactly.
That's it.
And
That's what we're
when
doing
you said it, I'm
individually.
like,
That's what we're doing
you
individually.
said it and you put all the pieces together.
Okay, there you go. There's the conversation for today. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Carolyn Zaiser. I'm a channel, a distance energy healer, and a spiritual awakening mentor. And if you're interested in taking a look at how I can help guide you forward in your journey, talking about your soul journey, past, present, future, and how that really lines up with what's going on in your current life, in your awakening, ascension, and life journey, check out purplerainhealing.com for all of my services. I do offer 15-minute complimentary consultations to help you decide if you'd like to work with me, get to meet me, and also understand more about my services. So with that today, I look forward to seeing you very shortly in the July energy update. And with that, I will see you in the next video.